Hi, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is HANISHA binti HAIRUDDIN and my student ID is 2021449082.
Hi, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is FAHMI and my student ID number is 2021-885 and 234.
Assalamualaikum and hi. My name is AZREENA binti HAIRRY. My ID student number is 2021-615848.
Assalamualaikum. My name is AZREENA AZWA binti AZHA. My student ID is 2021473818.
In this video, we are going to present about connective tissue. Connective tissue is basically a group of tissues in the body that maintain the form of the body and its organs and also provide cohesion and internal support. It also includes several types of fibrous tissue that vary only in their density and cellularity, as well as the more specialized and recognizable variants. The contents of this video are description and disease for bones, description and disease for blood, and also conclusion. For the first part, I'm going to explain a little bit about bone. The bone is made up of compact bone and spongy bone. The compact bone is which makes up the outer layer of the bone, while the spongy bone is found mostly at the ends of bones and contain red marrow. Bone marrow is actually found in the center of most bones and contain many blood vessels. There are two types of blood vessels. The first one is red marrow. The red marrow contains blood stem cells that can become red blood cells, white blood cells, or even platelets. The second one is yellow marrow. The yellow marrow is made mostly of fats. The description for the bone, or known as osseous tissue, the first one is hard, and it is also calcified matrix that contain many collagen fibers. For example, the picture beside me shows that the osteocytes lies in the lacunae. The third point is vascularized. The bone is actually vascularized with many blood vessels. The functions of the bones are to provide an internal support, to protect our vital organs, to provide an attachment sites for muscles and tendons, for our movement, and also to store minerals. It is because the marrow inside the bones is actually for the site of blood cells formation, or known as hematopoiesis. The location of the tissue is at the bone. The tissue is actually a microscopic structure that contains repeating units of osseons or Haversian system. Each osseon has concentric layers of mineralized matrix that deposited around the central canal that has blood vessels and also nerves, as you can see at the picture above. There are two types of matrix material. The first one is organic and the second one is inorganic. Without an adequate amount of organic material, the tissue will break. Without an adequate amount of inorganic material, the tissue will bend. Next, the bone also exhibits four types of cells. The first one is osteoblasts for bone formation. The second one is bone lining cells that plays an important role in coupling the bone resorption to bone formation. The third one is osteoclasts for bone resorption. And the last is osteocytes for mechanosensory and orchestrators. Next, there are some additional information about the bone cells. The first one is they secrete and maintain the matrix of the bone. The second one is that they located in spaces called lacunae. The third one is the osteoblasts will become less active when they mature, or osteocytes. The last one is that an imbalance between the bone resorption and bone formation can cause bone diseases such as osteoporosis.
Let's move on to the next part, which is disease in bones. What is the type of disease that are involved in bones? Have you heard about myositis ossificans? It is also called Stiffman syndrome. So basically, myositis ossificans is a disorder or conditions where your connective tissue or muscles are replaced by bones. In the more common local type, only one area that is affected by it, and ossifications is usually observed to follow injuries of the past. Next, what about the type of tissues that are involved in this disease? So obviously it will be bone tissues. What is the functions of tissue that are involved in this disease? So basically, bone tissues is maintained by a bone-forming cells that are called osteoblasts, and cells that are break down bones that are called osteoclasts. Moreover, bone also contains blood vessels, nerve, proteins, vitamins and minerals that are very important to human body. Blood tissues is also called osseous tissues. So, where is the locations of myositis ossificans that can be found in our body? Well, it will be formed inside muscles or other soft tissues, but it will be most likely on the large muscles of arms and the legs. So, what are the causes for these myositis ossificans exist in human body? Well, most of the cases, it will be an unknown syndrome, but it tends to develop in young adults and athletes who are more likely to experience traumatic injuries. Traumatic injuries is a term which refers to physical injuries of sudden onset which require immediate medical attention. Next, the symptoms for these myositis ossificans is the injury site will swell and feel warm or hot to touch. You also may feel alarm in the muscles. Pain and tenderness can be severe, but it will be only limited to the injured muscle only, and your movement in that limb will be limited. Lastly, the effect for myositis ossificans, it is considerable morbidity with symptoms of prolonged pain. It will also diminish your flexibility, and lastly, local tenderness and stiffness will lasting an average of 1.1 years.
Next, for the treatments and preventions of myositis ossificans is that we can take a pain reliever such as naproxen and ibuprofen. These medications can help to relieve the discomfort. Next, there are a few things that we can do at home. The first one is rest, which means resting the affected area, or less commonly, immobilization of the affected muscles. The second one is ice. Try to apply the ice on the affected area for 15 to 20 minutes. The third one is elevation. Raise the injured limb above the level of heart to keep or to help drain the excess fluid from the area. The fourth is gentle stretching. Start doing it, but when the doctor says okay, don't perform any movement to the point of pain. And the last point is compression. Wrap an elastic bandage firmly around the affected area to minimize the swelling and keep the area stable. The next treatment is physical therapy. After 48 to 72 hours, a person can start physical therapy to build up strength in muscles. This involves by moving the joint slowly and gently in all directions to see how far they will go. The last point for treatments is surgery. But the surgery is only needed when the person feels severe pain on the affected area. The second one is when the growths interfere the nearby nerves, joints, or blood vessels. The last one is that poor range of motion, which makes the person feel difficult to perform any daily activities. So, for the prevention of myositis ossificans is that generally the risk of myositis ossificans can increase with severe confusion. In addition, poor treatment or aggressive treatment with heat or massage also increase the risk of myositis ossificans. To prevent this from happening, use the no harm method. The first is no heat, no alcohol, no running, and no deep massage.
Next, I will explain about blood. Blood is very different and unique from other connective tissue because blood is a fluid. It consists of blood cells that's surrounded by a non-living fluid matrix called blood plasma. So, we can say that blood plasma is the main component of blood. Blood plasma consists of more than 90% of water, salt, and a variety dissolved protein. As you can see here, the composition of blood plasma at the upper level because it less than another level. It consists 90% of water. And in blood, there are three types form of element, which is erythrocytes, our red blood cell, leukocytes, our white blood cell, and platelets. White blood cells and red blood cells are called as specialized cell because it has its own role in our body. And platelets is not a cell. We call it as cell fragments. Next, location of the blood. Blood located in our blood vessel, which is arteries, veins, and capillaries. Blood also located in our heart. Next, the function of blood. The three functions of blood is transportation, regulation, and act as immune defense. But the primary function for blood is transportation. Blood will transport material around our body, such as red blood cell delivers oxygen from the lungs to heart and delivers carbon dioxide to the lung for exhalation. Blood also transport hormones from endocrine glands to their target organs, such as hormone adrenaline released by adrenal gland to its target organ, which is heart, to increase the rate of heart. And lastly, blood transport nutrient from digestive tract to all our body cells. So next is regulation. Blood help regulate our body temperature and pH in our body tissue. And lastly, act as immune defense. Our leukocytes helps protect our body from invader come into our body, such as disease that can causing bacteria.
Now, I'm going to talk about one of the diseases that are caused by blood, that is leukemia. Leukemia is a disease where abundant amount of immature white blood cells are produced that are cancerous and overwhelm other cells in the bloodstream. The tissue involved are bone marrow, or more specifically, the spicy tissues inside the bone. The bone marrow that are affected with leukemia have more amount of white blood cells compared to the amount of white blood cells in the normal healthy human. From the picture, we can see that the normal human have more red blood cells compared to a leukemia patient that have more white blood cells in the bloodstream. Moving on to the function of bone marrow helps in producing blood cells such as platelets, red and white blood cells, and are located at the center of most bones. And what cause of leukemia? Well, no one exactly knows what is the cause of leukemia, but there are some triggers that helps in causing leukemia, such as inhaling smokes, exposed to a lot of radiation, and certain chemicals, family history of leukemia, or genetic mutations inside the chromosome. and the symptoms of leukemia are fatigue, weight loss, easy bleeding or bruising, and swollen lymph nodes. Lastly, we will go to the effect of leukemia on our body. First off, on our skin, we will suffer pale skin because there are less red blood cells in our bloodstream, and we will increase the rate of infections towards fungal or bacterial rashes, and we will suffer petechia, or the little dots of red will appear on our skin. On respiratory system, we will suffer short of breath, and lastly, on our brain, we will suffer headache, seizures, or loss of muscle controls. That's all from me.
Next, the treatment and prevention of leukemia disease. The most common treatment is chemotherapy. Doctor will use drug to kill cancer cell in our blood and bone marrow. Second, through radiation. It will use high energy X-ray to kill leukemia cells or keep them from growing. Third, through stem cell transplant. Doctor will replace leukemia cell in our bone marrow with new ones that can make blood. And lastly, the last option is surgery. Unfortunately, leukemia disease does not have a clear way to prevent from getting this disease, but there are tips that can reduce our risk from getting leukemia disease. First, we need to quit smoking. As you know, cigarettes contains chemical substance that very harm to our body, such as tobacco. So, smoking has a proven risk that can lead to many cancer, including leukemia disease. Second, avoid high radiation